Welcome, students. This is another video on slope, but this time we're going to be doing slope from tables and ordered pairs. We have three kind of ways that we do this. We can do this using the calculator. We can do this through a counting method that we learned earlier in the year. We can use it through the slope formula, which we're going to learn here in class. The video is going to focus on these two because you obviously don't have a calculator in your hand right now, and we'll show you the calculator method when you get back into class on, should be on Monday of next week. Alright, so just to review slope. Slope is the rate of change. We also use the letter M to represent slope. It's the change in what? It's the change in vertical over horizontal, or the change in y over the change in x. We also call this rise over run, and the formula looks like this: y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, and the formula starts out m equals, and we do it using 2 points. So if we had 1 comma 2 and 2 comma 4, this would be x1 because that's the first x, this would be y1 because that's the first y, and the next two y2. Alright, so let's start to look with a table here. And we can use the formula, or earlier in the year we learned that you could just count the slope out. What happens to get from a 10 to a 7? Right? The answer is you go down 3. What happens when you go from a 3 to a 4? You go up 1. So you put the change in y over the change in x, which is negative 3 over 1, or negative 3 as a slope. If you use the formula, you got to pull 2 points out. 3, 10, 4, 7, x1, y1, x2, y2. The formula says y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that is 7 minus 10 on top, and 4 minus 3 on bottom. 7 minus 10 is negative 3. 4 minus 1 is 1. Negative 3 over 1 reduces to negative 3. If you had a graph nearby, you always have that option as well. For this graph, since it doesn't go out to 7, I'd probably have to use these points right here. So if I go over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I could put a dot right there. And then I could go over 6, up 1, and I would have a dot right there. And in class we learned that you start at the left dot, you count down, so that's down 3, and then over 1, and again down 3 over 1. All signs point to negative 3 over 1. So that's showing you the multiple representations that slope can take on as we do our problems. Okay? Alright, so here, if it's already in a table format, to me the doing the changes is an easier way of doing it. So we're going to look at it to get from negative 1 to 4. And I chose those because it's getting towards the positive numbers, and I think that's the best. If you were negative 1 foot underwater and you went to 4 foot above, that means you went up 5 feet. 2 to up 1 is up. Whoops, I got the eraser. Up 1. Okay? So that would be change in y over change in x is 5 over 1, or just, well, that's a bad looking 5. 5. Okay? Let's do number 2 using a formula. Let's let this be x1 and this be y1, x2, y2. So the formula says you do the y's on top, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So our second y is 0, minus our first one 2, 0 minus 2. And then on the bottom one, it's 6 minus 3, so 6 minus 3, negative 2. 0 minus 2 is negative 2, 6 minus 3 is 3, so this is negative 2/3. If you're ever not sure about it, you can check it on a graph if you find a graph nearby. I'll take those points over 3 up 2, 1, 2, 3 up 2, dot right there. and then over 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 0. So to get from this point to that point, I go down 2 over 3, and so that's negative 2 over 3. Okay, all right, let's take a look at this last one here. Again, we could just pick points if you want to, or we could do the formula, but let's just pick some points. From 8 to 8 is a change in 0. From 4 to 9 is plus 5. So we have 0 over 5. 0 divided by 5 is 0, so this has a slope of 0. We could verify that on the graph as well. If I go, I don't know if this graph has that many points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be at the top. If I go left 1, up 8, it would be right there. That's negative 1, 8. And then if I go 4, 8, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, up to the top. And we look at that line. That person is flatline and has 0 life left. Okay. If we do it with points, it's best if you're going to try to do the change to rewrite them stacked on top of each other like this. From 5 to 7 is up 2. From negative 3 to negative 6 is a negative 3. So this is 2 over negative 3, which is just negative 2/3. If we use the formula x1, y1, x2, y2, on top it's going to be 7 minus 5. On bottom it's going to be negative 6 minus negative 3. 7 minus 5 is 2. Here you have back-to-back negatives, so you have to do slash dash. You have to change to plus there. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. And there we go. And at any time, if you need to check them on these graphs down here, you're more than welcome to. If I stack them, 2, 5, negative 6, negative 1. From 5 to negative 1 is down 6. From 2 to negative 6, that might be a little bit tricky. It's down 8. So it's negative 6 over negative 8. Negative 3 goes into both of them. Sorry, negative 3 doesn't. Negative 2 does. So that's 3/4. Okay. That one I didn't really like doing that way just because you end up with some bad looking negative. Let's try it with the formula x1, y1, x2, y2. So on top that's negative 1 minus 5. And bottom that's negative 6 minus 2, negative 6, negative 8. So we still end up in the same place. Okay. Like I said, when you get to class on Monday, we'll teach you how to put this in StatEdit. And you may have to do Math 1 Enter, but this will be much easier when we get to class and do it on the calculator. But I wanted you guys to have a way to do it just in case you didn't have the calculator or you forgot your StatEdit stuff.